How's it going, Habibis? Dino DNA is back. I figured, why the heck not? Let's play Jurracs, a deck that was heavily requested that I play. I bit the bullet and I crafted the URs. Unfortunately, it is a very expensive deck because of the Asteros and the Meteors being URs, but I did not regret it. This deck is a lot of fun, and I have a lot of replays that I want to go over with you guys, a lot of things that I want to talk about. Be sure to stick around till the end because I'm going to talk about the things that I really love about this deck, and there's a lot, and the things that I think that we can improve on going forward, especially for a deck that we might take into ranked. So let me know if you guys want to see that, and be sure to like this video. Just hit the thumbs up button for me. It really shows me that you guys are engaging with this type of content and you want to see more of it. I really enjoy dinos. Hopefully you guys do too. Now let's get into it. Dino DNA, baby. All right, Habibis, this was my first duel of the event, as well as my first duel using the new Jurrac cards, and we have our 1-card combo, and it's all we needed for this duel. Pretty convenient so that I could showcase how it works. So you use Jurrac Stego to destroy itself and then send Mist to the graveyard. Then you summon your 4 level 1s, 2 Aeolas and 2 Megalos. Then you use the Aeola to summon back the Stego, and then you go into the Synchro 5 Velveto, and then you use the Areola again to summon the Stego. Then you go into your Jurrac Astero. Now, Jurrac Astero is an amazing card. What this card does is it allows you to negate a special summon by banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard, which you're going to have a lot of dinos in the grave. And also, it allows you to banish itself as well as another Jurrac card from the graveyard to summon out your Jurrac Meteor, which is your big boss monster, your big board wipe. Now, something to keep in mind with this, I know a lot of people have been asking questions when I streamed my duels with this. A lot of people asked how this first effect works. This is only for inherent summons. So basically, any summon that doesn't start a chain. So if your opponent synchro summons, you can use this effect, which I think you guys will see later on in the replay. If they Ixie summon, those kind of summons like that don't start a chain, then you could negate and destroy it using Astero, essentially like a Solemn Judgment. So here my opponent is going to Ghost Ogre this. Not that big of a deal, because you do want this in the graveyard. We are going to end up reviving it, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So we still have that Mist in the graveyard. We are going to banish 2 to pop the baby. See, I said we're still going to be popping babies, just a little bit different. We're playing Petite Pterodon. The Jurrac Volcano allows us to summon a Jurrac, and then Petite lets us summon Ovi. Now we're going to summon back the Astero, and when Megalo gets sent to the graveyard, we get to send an Astero to the grave as well, which is very important. So having Astero in the graveyard basically means we'll get to have a board wipe, and then we're going to go into our 3rd Astero. So basically, what we have here, and I do set my Jurrac impact, like I said, stick around till the end of the video because I am going to talk about the changes I made to the deck and why I stopped playing this. This was my first duel in this event, and I later on realized I don't want to play this. But what do we have here, okay? We have Jurrac Astero, which can go into a board wipe, 3 of them, and these are soft ones per turn, so you can use it 3 times. We have Jurrac Impact, which can go into a board wipe, and we have Jurrac Volcano, which can go into a board wipe when the opponent special summons a monster during the turn when they activated 4 monster effects, which happens all the time. Not to mention we have Ash Boss, we have Nibiru, which is another, monster wipe, and then we have the Astero special summon negates. So very powerful board here, all off the 1-card combo. Our opponent's going to use Bestial Magma, banish the Oviraptor. That's another good thing. These are fires, so they don't really do much. Bestials don't really do much against us. They're going to use Shining Sark, Dark Magician on the mind, to banish the Dragon Ruler card. I'm going to try to Ash it because this is going to allow them to search for Chandra, and then they're going to Droplet me. So now my Astero special summon effects are not going to work, but realistically, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, they don't happen very often. They don't happen as often as you would think, this effect to negate a summon. So anyways, they are going to summon out Pydra here, and I am now going to activate, because now they've activated 4 monster effects. I'm going to activate Jurrac Volcano to summon Jurrac Meteor, and I'm going to wipe the board. They set Sangan Summoning, a very silly play. We wipe the board, we protect our Jurracs, and they scoop it up. We still had 2 more board wipes on top of that, as well as Nibiru. So Very powerful off of one card. Let's go to another replay. All right, so here we are going second. Let's see how we do going second. I think that this deck, the way we have it built, especially for the Synchro event, we are able to play a lot of non-engine, which is pretty nice. So we do have a good amount of hand traps. I'd say we pretty consistently are able to open up 2 hand traps. And the Ash Blossom was able to stop him there. So here we have Fossil Dig as well as Jurrac Stego. I'm going to lead with Fossil Dig. They're going to Maxx C me. So something else I really like about this deck that I will talk about during the deck breakdown at the end is I like that we're able to... It's just such a different play style, right? We're able to play through so many disruptions and we're basically unaffected by Duel. And I also feel comfortable playing into Maxx C and Fuo with this deck because setting up 3 board wipes, it's almost like it doesn't matter how many cards you have, unless you have Called by the Grave, essentially. The board wipes are so hard to stop, especially if you use them correctly. And I think, you know, I'll do future videos, and I'll definitely do videos of this in ranked, not just in the Synchro event, because I think this deck is solid. If you use your board wipes effectively, then you'll be able to play through Maxx C. And that's if I'm going first. Here we're going second. So I use my Jurrac Volcano here just to get my Tyranno Infinity a little bit stronger. So I'm going for the OTK here into the Maxx C. Once again, this deck also has great OTK potential. And this Tyranno Infinity is really big for that. And, you know, this was all calculated. I made sure to get the attack where it needed to be so that Tyranno Infinity would be strong enough to do some damage. And then here we're going to dodge the trap to go into Transcendosaurus Gigantic. I've never summoned him. But, hey, Synchro Dinos for the win. Let's go. And we have the Jurrac Impact sitting in hand. That's why I ended up taking it out. Is this card just... It's good in theory, it just never doesn't materialize well. We're going first here against Ice Jades, and having the Fossil Dig and being able to search for the Stego 1-card combo is huge for this deck. I really like it. If you can consistently get Stego out and Misk in hand, I think you have a good shot at winning. So here we're just going to do a combo very similar to the one that we just saw earlier. Basically Stego with Ovi in hand. We're going to use the Misk, summon out the Petite. Petite gets popped. Petite is going to summon out Ovi. Ovi's going to search for UCT. And then UCT is going to pop the Megalo, summon the Petite. Megalo's going to send the Astero. And we end our turn. This is kind of an awkward looking board, but it is something. This Petite is important. They MST my Jurrac Volcano, which is interesting that they're playing it. And here we're going to draw them, which is pretty good. Now, something that Ice Jades do is they summon out Gorgeous. While you control another Ice Barrier monster, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters in the graveyard. How about that? This is pretty much Anti-Jurrac. So now I need to be very careful about how I do things, okay? Luckily, they do Synchro Summon here. Synchro Summons do not start a chain. Solemn Judgment the Lancia. And since he never hit the board technically, because this negates the summon, his effect to summon a Ice Barrier monster when it leaves the field does not activate. They go into another one. Okay? So now, because I was able to force out them getting rid of their Gorgeous, then I'm able to now use my Astero in the graveyard. They activate Monster Reborn. I'm going to activate it now in response to that. Nuking the board. 6 monsters on my field. It's worth it. We nuke everything. Summon out our Dino. I'm sorry, our Xenometeorus, and then our Petite Pterodon triggers. Lancia is going to summon out Trishula. And we're going to summon out Ovi. I forgot that I'm under draw, so unfortunately I did send my Tyranno Infinity to the graveyard. That was a misplay by me. No biggie, because we kept the UCT in hand for follow-up like I mentioned before. I think keeping UCT off the board, off your going first board, is probably the smartest play. So here we're going to go into Chen Ying. Chen Ying is going to be able to be triggered with the UCT summon. We're going to banish the Trishula, banish the Lancia from the graveyard, and we are going to swing here for game. Stego, finish him off. G to the G. You'll love to see it. I really like when I'm able to trigger Astero's first effect. That Solemn Judgment is so huge. All right, so here we're going up against the new Six Samurai deck. Six Samurai got a lot of support. Let's see what we can do against it. Okay, so we start off with Stego. Stego's going to pop itself. Typical one-card combo, but we do have Xenometeorus in our hand, so that's going to be an additional extender for us. We're going to be able to now go straight into Jurrac Astero. I'm fast-forwarding a little bit. Astero is going to set the Volcano. At this point, I have taken out Jurrac Impact in my deck, from my deck. So my only searches for Astero are the 2 field spells that I play. We're going to go Velfido, and then use Misk's effect to summon out Petite Pterodon, pop the baby with the Volcano, summon out Stego, also search for UCT. I get Drolled here, which is a good showing because I could go over it, but this deck does not care about Droll. It's unlike the other Dino deck, the normal Dino deck, or even the Are You Gay Dinos. If you haven't seen those videos, I'll link an Are You Gay Dino video up here that you gotta watch for all the important combos for that deck. But unlike those decks, we are unaffected by Droll. We can basically self-Droll ourselves to stop Maxx C, which is pretty big. So we pop the Megalo to send an Astero to the graveyard, right? Every Astero in the grave is a board wipe. And we summon out another one. So here we have 2 monster effect 2 monster special summon negates with Astero. We have an Astero in the graveyard for a board wipe. We have Called By. We have a Jurrac Volcano, which can also trigger our Jurrac Meteor. Now, something I do want to point out is I don't use UCT here. One of the biggest downsides to this deck is that it does not have good follow-up. Typically, you use your 3 board wipes, and you hope that the opponent can't recover from that. So you could summon UCT here as an additional thing, as an additional disruption. But I like to have UCT in hand as my follow-up because I have 3 board wipes set up here. I have Maxx C. I feel pretty good that the 3 board wipes will be enough. Let's see. So here, my opponent special summons the Anarchist Monk, which is an inherent summon. And then they summon Legendary Six Samurai, which is another summon that does not start a chain. So we're able to use both our Jurrac Astero special summon negates. And then now, before they can get anything going, I'm going to use my Astero in the graveyard to nuke the field. And I'm going to use my Called By before it goes to waste. And I chose to allow everything to get popped so that my Asteros were in the graveyard so that I can use them as follow-up. It's important to sometimes make that decision to let them go to the graveyard, even though I could have protected them with Jurrac Volcano. We're going to Ash the Search here. And then they are able to special summon this. I could have nuked this, but then I didn't feel like it was necessary, especially knowing I had UCT in hand and the Misk and the Ground Xeno. Now, something I do want to point out, I don't do it here, at least I don't think I do, but Ground Xeno is a 1-card board wipe. Ground Xeno searching for Megalo, popping Megalo, and then Megalo, when it's destroyed, allowing you to send Astero. So Ground Xeno is a very good card for this deck. I've seen a lot of people not playing Ground Xeno, which is interesting. I feel like it's a must for this deck. So we are going to send the OV and just summon out our UCT. UCT is going to attack over the Six Samurai, and we are going to end our turn. So we have UCT and Ash. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't paying that much attention. I don't know if I didn't play that perfectly there. Something to keep in mind when you're playing this deck is sometimes the Stego, especially later on in the game, is just not usable, his effect, because he can only summon from the hand or deck. He can't summon from the graveyard. So if you have the Aeolas and the Megalos in the graveyard, it just doesn't work. So here we Fossil Dig, summon out a thick Tyranno Infinity, and just swing for 11k, ending the duel. I am really enjoying this card in this deck. At first I was skeptical about it, but I'm feeling like Tyranno Infinity is the MVP. Now let's finish it up with a very long duel that I'm going to start about halfway through the duel because it had a pretty incredible finish. All right, so here I am with not much to my name, and I did want to show this just because I did mention how Ground Xeno is a 1-card board wipe, so we're able to get a good top deck there. Heart of the Cards moment, Dino DNA activating, searching Megalo, setting up the board wipe. They're going to attack me directly. Not so fast. We go Jurrac Meteor to nuke the field. Now my opponent is a pretty bad player, I must say, because they had Imperm, and then they choose to pop my my Meteor, which is going to now miss their Imperm. So my opponent misplayed pretty terribly here, not gonna lie. But it was still a very intense duel. I'd say that was just an oversight on their behalf, and we are definitely still in an uphill climb. So let's see how this goes, because this is turn 8 now of 14. We draw the Jurrac Impact, which, like I said, I think this was an earlier duel, and I ended up taking it out. It's such a dead draw. I think after this duel is when I took it out, because it really just doesn't come up as often as you would think. So now they set up a spell and trap negate. We're able to set up another Stero in the graveyard, and here I'm going to use it to nuke the board. Jurrac Meteor, pop everything, summon out Megalo, and let's see what we get here. We get nothing. We get absolutely nothing, and I don't want to attack for 500. It's probably not really worth it, so I decide not to. Droll is not very effective versus this deck, unfortunately, but we are in turn 11. My opponent's at 12 cards in the deck. They're kind of starting to wear thin, so they've already used a lot of their ammo. We've survived their biggest bullets essentially, and we used all our board wipes, so we're just kind of in defensive mode here. We're trying to stay alive. This Jurrac Volcano though is not a brick. It's not something that is going to be useless here. So we set the Droll because I'm just trying to keep enough life points to have another turn. And fortunately, they don't attack with a Scrap Recycler, which is the smart play. We're left with 500 life points in a dream. We draw Megalo. How are we going to use this? We're going to pop the Megalo, summon out Stego. Stego is going to pop the Volcano, sending Misk. Misk is going to activate, summoning out Ovi. Ovi is going to search for our big boss monster, UCT. We're going to attack over this Crystron first so that we get the attack boost. This is all calculated. We need all this damage. Attack, attack, attack. UCT, wipe out the board. And then here we swing with Stego and finish it off with Ovi. The come from behind victory. 14 turns. And I think this was like my third or fourth duel with this deck. And I knew this was the deck. I knew that this Jurrac deck had potential after this. Now let's go into the deck list. All right, Habibis, this is the goo I came up with. Now, I have a lot to say. Let's say it quickly. I am not going to say that I'm a pro with this deck just yet. I've had about 15 to 20 games under my belt in a Synchro event. So there's definitely some things that I will change, especially when I get out of the Synchro Cup and I go into ranked mode with this deck. The things I love about it, guys, I'm shocked at how good Tyranno Infinity is in this deck. I really think that with a deck like this, downside it not having great grind game, not having great follow-up, being able to get a souped up Tyranno Infinity with all your banished dinos that you do for this deck is a great OTK piece. Probably the thing I love the most, Stego one card combo, us having that is huge. And also just the ability to play, a lot of non-engine. I mean, we're playing 3, 5, 8, 11, which I'll talk about this in a sec, 13, 16, and then these can be hand traps if you want, but 19 non-engine in a dino deck. My typical dino decks do not have that much non-engine, so I really like that. I also really like Fua because you are going to be having an empty board a lot of times, so being able to go Jurrac Meteor and then chain Fua after that effect resolves, not chain, but after that effect resolves, activate Fua so that you can draw. Pretty dang good. So I like the construction of this deck. I do not mind it going above 44. You can easily cut it to 40 if you wanted to, but there is some, garnets in here that you don't necessarily want to see. You don't want to see Petite Pterodon in this deck. You don't want to see the Jurrac Aeola. I know it's very weird not to have a baby in this deck, but something I did want to mention, like I said earlier, I will say I'm a dino guy, and this is a Jurrac deck, and they're dinos, And I'll definitely enjoy playing pure Jurracs, and I think this is a pure Jurrac list. But you know I'm going to try to figure out a way, for better or worse. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I don't know if it's going to be good. But I'm going to try to incorporate the actual dino combos with Arch and, you know, Baby Misk and all that stuff. I'm going to try to incorporate with this and see if we can get the best of both worlds. We'll see. This has been a great cup. Like you guys saw, I showed we had a really good record in the Synchro event with this. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. And if you like this video, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subbed. I really appreciate all you guys that do. We're so close to 6K. Let's see if we can get it by the end of the month. That would be amazing. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Until next time, Habibis, take care of yourselves. Go out of your way and make somebody's day special. Peace and love, Dino DNA.